Hello everyone. In this video, I want to show you a few more advanced sheet metal design commands in SolidWorks. So here I have created a simple sheet metal plate, and in the video sheet metal 1, I have shown you how to create these two commands for creating sheet metals. I showed you how to create a edge flange, a hem, a jog, right? The flatten, fold, and unfold commands, and so on. Now here I want to show you some other commands like swept flange or cross break or gusset, tab and slot, the vent command, and so on, or this Lofted-Bent. So here, let's start with a swept flange. So what you need here is an open profile to basically follow a path and create basically a swept flange. So here, if I click on it, then it is asking me for a profile and a guide. So the first thing I need to do is to create that profile. And for that, let's say I go on this plane, and then I create the profile. Something like this, okay? And then I would choose that as the profile for the flange, and then for the path I say this here, then this one here, and then this one here, and then what? This one. And you see here you can have something just like what? Just like basically an aluminum plate that you see in restaurants or some places that you can basically for catering, right? You get the food out there. So here you can have a container, a food container, right? So you see how beautiful it is made, or you can call it a tray in this case. And another thing you can do is a cross break. Now, a cross break, as you can see, it says no geometry will be added. It's just a graphic representation of a cross break. So I can apply a cross break here, right? And what is a cross break here? So a cross break are basically some small, I would call deformations in the sheet metal that will increase its rigidity against bending. Okay, so you can see this cross break here on some real world sheet metals, and again, it doesn't mean now it has broken this into 4 parts or anything, and this is just a graphic representation. But if you want to tell the manufacturer that, hey, I want you to add this cross break here so that this panel here is not easily bent, then you can add this graphic representation here. So here, let's say it's a tray with what? With a cross break. So these are two of the commands that I wanted to show you. And the next command is creating a vent, which is basically a little bit more complicated than a simple hole or cut extrude. So here I choose this face and I go to sketch, and then let's say I create a few circles, right? So I click this circle, let's just give it some dimension. So if I go with, let's say, 2 inches, then I can have a few more of that, right? So let's say one more, and another one. So here are the 4 diameters that I have provided, and then I draw a vertical line like this, and then I do a circular pattern on that. The center of rotation is going to be that point, and then I need, let's say, 8 of that, okay, something like this. So create this pattern, which is kind of like a spider web basically. And now this is ready for a vent. So I go to vent, then let me do it again without this case selected. So here, if I go here, it asks for a boundary, and you can select this to be the boundary. Then you go down here and it asks for ribs and spars. So For the ribs, you can select these lines and then provide some thickness, let's say 0.1 of an inch, right? So you select all of these lines and then it is going to create you all of the ribs. And finally, you go down to spars. And again, let's use the same thickness for the spars as well. Or something smaller like 0.05. And you create one here, and one. Here we go. And look, now you're going to have what? You're going to have a beautiful vent in the part. Okay, another thing I can show you is the gusset, which is used basically like a rib to reinforce a bent part of the sheet metal against bending again. So let's say here I do a sketch bend here, right? And I draw a line and I bend this part, correct? So I keep this part as the fix and go 90 degrees like that. And now what I can do is I go ahead and add a gusset. So here, right, and I choose these two, and you see the gusset is added, and here I can move the location of the gusset, and then here I can I can change the width, and I can change the thickness. So here, let's say we just want to put it in the middle, and then we just accept these parameters, and then we OK that. So here we have a gusset. Now pay attention that gusset is not an extra piece of sheet metal that you brought and basically added. If you look underneath it, you see here this gap, okay? So it's basically like you have some tool here and then you push the sheet metal outward, so you got what? You got the gusset, okay? So again, this is not an extra piece. This gusset came from this sheet metal by putting your tool here and then pressing against that tool in this gradient direction, in this direction, and then creating what? Creating that rib or that wedge. So here there is this gap as a result of this pushing the material outward. The next thing I want to show you is the lofted, basically, sheet metal. So here I went back to that sheet metal and I'm going to use two different cross sections. Okay, so I have this sketch, right? So what you need for this lofted bend, basically, or lofted sheet metal, is to have two open profiles, as you can see, right? And then with these two open profiles, you can create a lofted bend. So here is, let's say, one open profile. Then I go parallel to this top plane, and I create my second plane here. Let's say I go 3 inches above that. And then on this guy, I create an offset sketch, right? So let's say, or I can do something different, but let's say in this case, just want to make it similar to that original one. So if I choose this guy and offset it, okay, for maybe 0.4 inches or something like that, or let's make it bigger. Okay. Now that was I want it in, so here we go. So let's say I have these two profiles, right? And then I go to the Lofted-Bent or loft sheet metal, and then I choose these sketches. So that's one sketch, and this is the other sketch, and you clearly can see that I have created a beautiful Lofted-Bent or lofted sheet metal here, right? And if you want to see how to make it, you can flatten it like this, right? You can see here I have flattened that, and then you can go ahead and bend it on those locations. Okay, right, and here you can change your open profiles and make something different. So for example, if I go back here and instead of that, let's say I make a curved open profile, right? So let me get rid of that and use maybe some 3-point arc or something like that. Just want to make sure that it is symmetric on both sides. So okay, let's see what happens now. See if it's able to make it. There we go. You see, here we go. So now it is basically connecting your kind of square profile to the circular one, right? And it is not possible with only a few sheet metals. So you see now that you have what? You have a ton of these smaller pieces that you need to basically attach together. So you get what? So you get your Lofted-Bent, okay? And if you lay it flat here, this is the stretch that you need to basically, and these are all of these lines, and this is what you need to have if you want to have that kind of profile. Okay, so this is my next command, as I said, the Lofted-Bent. And the last command that I want to show you, and it's a beautiful command here, is this guy. It's called tab and slot here. Okay, so let me show you that one. Okay, for this one here, I have created this sheet metal, and then tangent to that, I have created this other one. And these two sheet metals are supposed to be attached together using a bunch of what? Using a bunch of tabs and what? The slots for the tabs. Okay, so here you're going to attach these two together. And what you need to do is to go ahead here and then select the edge that is going to be the intersection edge, like this guy here. And then here you have to create the face on which the slots are going to be made. So here we select this face. You see the preview of the slots are made. And then you can go and say from where to where you want the slots. If you don't provide offsets, then it's going to be from the first point to what? To the last point. But if you want, you can select those points here. You see they are automatically selected. But if you want, you can define other points along this edge and have those as the start and the end point, or you can have offsets here, right? So you see, with a ½ inch offset from this left side, the slots are going to start not right off the bat, okay? And you can have something like that as well here, right? So if you don't want to start right on the edges, you can have your slots with offsets, and then you can change the number of them, and then you can change the size of them, correct? Let me change it to 0.2 actually in this case, a little bit longer. And then you're good to go here. So I okay that, and now you see there are my flanges are converted into 2 tabs and slot sets, right? I mean added to them basically. And now if I hide these, you can see, look, this is what happens to this guy. Now these basically tabs are added to that. And if you look at the other one, right, this other one, so let me hide this one and then bring the other one so you can see that this one has what? Has the slots. Here I changed the color of one of the sheets so you can see it against the other one. Okay, so hopefully this video was useful to you. I showed you some of the more advanced commands here, and hopefully you can use it to create your own sheet metal designs. Thank you so much for your attention, and I'll see you in the next video.